Yo! The Europa League Quarter Finals is back again, and in today's video, I'm going to be giving you guys my second leg predictions. In the first leg, we saw some really crazy results. We saw Braga get a 1-1 draw against Real Betis. We saw Freiburg beat Celta Vigo 3-0. We also saw Porto against Nottingham Forest end in a 1-1 draw. And we saw Aston Villa destroy Bologna at home 3-1. And now in today's video, I'm going to be predicting the second leg games. And as always, if you guys agree with my predictions, remember to leave a comment down below. But if you disagree, remember to leave your predictions down below and I'll be sure to reply to every single comment. And remember to subscribe to the channel. I'm almost at 8,000 subscribers and I can't do it without you guys. But without further ado, let's get right into these predictions. Starting off with the first match, we have Celta Vigo against Freiburg. That first leg was absolutely crazy. Freiburg demolished Celta Vigo 3-0, and me personally, I didn't expect it. I actually predicted that Celta Vigo might be able to get an upset from that game, but Freiburg showed why they've been so dominant at home this season, and Celta Vigo have a huge mountain to climb back. One important thing I think that Freiburg have over a team like Celta Vigo is they have players that can really make a difference. I'm a big fan of Matanovic in the striker position, a very tall, young Croatian striker, and he can obviously get a lot of headers, and he did provide assists in that first leg game. Obviously, they have Vincenzo Grifo, who's been with Freiburg for almost 6 years now. He also got a goal in that game. And even in the midfield, a player like Manzambi was very good in that game, provided the assist to the first goal. And really, after that first goal, Celta Vigo couldn't really do much. Now, obviously, Celta Vigo are currently suffering from a few injuries. Iago Aspas isn't going to be playing in these two legs. And I do think that is a big loss for Celta Vigo. But they still have some pretty good attackers. Players like Borja Iglesias, he can score goals. Players like Jutkla, and obviously the young Swedish player Svedberg. All these players can score goals, but in that first leg game, they just weren't good at all in the attack. They had 4 total shots, and they never really looked like they were going to create anything. And to make matters even worse for Celta Vigo, in their last 4 home matches in all competitions, they haven't gotten a single win. We've seen them drawing at home. We saw them lose against Real Madrid recently at home. So with the home advantage, it's not even that big of an advantage because Celta Vigo aren't even playing that good at home. Freiburg might rotate the lineup a little bit in this match due to the fact that they already have a 3-0 advantage on aggregate. So for that reason, I do think Celta Vigo will be able to score, but I also feel like Freiburg will also be able to score. So I'm going to predict a simple 1-1 draw and Freiburg advance. Moving on to the next match, we have Aston Villa against Bologna. In the first leg game, Aston Villa won 3-1, but in my opinion, Bologna actually were the dominant team. They dominated throughout the whole game. They had almost 60% possession. They had almost 20 total shots compared to Aston Villa having under 10. Bologna were clearly the better team and the more dominant team, but Aston Villa were incredibly clinical. Every attack they had, they scored from, and they capitalized off Bologna's mistakes. The goalkeeper made a very poor mistake for the first goal, the defenders making mistakes for the other goals. So realistically, the reason why Bologna lost this game wasn't because Aston Villa were the better team, but because Bologna made so many poor mistakes. Now, I did say in my prediction that Jonathan Rowe would get a goal in this game, and his goal was absolutely fantastic. The way he just dribbles past so many players is incredible, and he is a really underrated English winger. But now the second game is being played at Villa Park, and Aston Villa will definitely want to get this win because in recent games, they have not been good at all. In the Premier League, they've been poor. Obviously, they did beat Bologna, but their overall performance in that game was also very poor. So I feel like Unai Emery needs to get his players to play at the level that he wants them to play, especially after that 1-1 draw against Nottingham Forest over the weekend. That was a pretty poor performance against one of the worst teams in the Premier League this season. Now, Bologna are suffering from a few injuries, and their starting center back Lukumi will be suspended for this game. For me, one change that Bologna need to make is to change their goalkeeper Raviglia. I know he's sometimes their second choice keeper, but in that first game against Aston Villa, he was so poor, especially that first mistake on the first goal. If you decide to come out and try and claim a ball from a corner, you need to make sure that you can 100% get to the ball, because if not, then you're left far out of net. And it was a corner kick for Aston Villa. They took the corner. He goes to try and punch it away, but completely misses the ball. He's about a foot away from the ball, left way out of his net, and it's an easy, simple header for Ezri Konsa. Now, I still think that Bologna could possibly get a result from this game. I still feel like they're the better team, and I just don't think Aston Villa are consistent enough to beat Bologna, considering how good Bologna were in that first leg game. So I do think Bologna will win this game 2-1, but obviously on aggregate, Aston Villa will advance. Moving on to the next match, we have Nottingham Forest against Porto. Honestly, the English teams in the Europa League got incredibly lucky last week, because how Porto didn't win this game is crazy. They had over 2 expected goals. They had more possession from the first half to the second half. They were definitely the dominant team, and they did get the first goal very early on, a great goal by Gomez in the 11th minute. But only a couple minutes after, they accidentally scored an own goal, a very, very stupid own goal, by the way. The goalie was out of net. He passed it back, and the goalie couldn't get back in time, and it just rolls into their own net. And for the rest of the game, Porto couldn't get the second goal. Porto had many big chances to score 2, maybe even 3 goals, but they just couldn't capitalize it. And Nottingham Forest, they had a couple chances as well, but nothing that was really threatening to Porto. I feel like Porto defensively were very strong. Thiago Silva is still doing his thing, even though he is getting up there in age. And their other defender, Bednarek, who is playing with Poland, I think he's a pretty underrated defender. But now Nottingham Forest do have the home advantage, and for some reason, I just don't feel like Porto will be able to come back. I feel like they needed to score in that first leg game, but they just couldn't make use of their great opportunities. So for that reason, I feel like Nottingham Forest are actually going to advance to the semi-finals. Yes, I know this will be one of the biggest achievements for Nottingham Forest in many years, but playing at home at the City Ground, I feel like they're going to get a 1-0 win against Porto. It may not be the most convincing performance, but I do think they will get the job done. And finally, the last match we have is Real Betis against Braga. In my predictions, I predicted Braga to get a very convincing win in that first leg game against Real Betis, because Braga had the home advantage, and we've seen how much they've been scoring when they play at home in recent matches. But Real Betis defensively were much better than I expected, and it did end in a 1-1 draw. The thing with Braga is they had so much possession in that first game. They had over 60%, and for majority of the first half especially, they were dominating on the ball, but in the attack, they could never really come up with the greatest opportunities. And like I already mentioned, Real Betis were pretty good in the midfield and defensively to limit Braga's attempts. And the thing about Real Betis is, even though they didn't have that much possession in the first game, I thought they actually had the better chances going forward. And that's the real scary thing with Real Betis, is they have the players that can hit you on the counterattack. They have the counterattacking capabilities that even if they have 30-40% possession, all they need is a few good chances and they will punish you. Real Betis aren't a team where they rely heavily on one player in the attack. They have obviously Hernandez in the striker position, who's gotten a decent amount of goals and assists this season, but even their wingers with players like Anthony and El Zazouli, these are very fast wingers, very attacking wingers, and they can also provide some great assists and can score goals as well. And obviously with Fornals playing in that attacking midfield position, he's a more experienced player and can also provide the goals. So that's a very dangerous thing with Real Betis, is they have so many goal scoring outlets, and that's why this season across all of their attackers we see them have multiple goals, multiple assists, but it's not really carried by one individual player. And even though I mentioned Braga have players that can punish you, they have players like Horta, they have players like Zelazar, these are players that can really hurt opposition, and we've seen it many times this season, especially from Horta. But with Real Betis having the home advantage, they have one of the most passionate fan bases in Spain, and I don't think they're gonna lose this game. I think Real Betis will dominate this game. I'm gonna predict a 3-1 win for Real Betis. And that's the end of my Europa League predictions for the second leg of the quarter-final games. If you guys agree with my prediction, remember to leave a comment down below. But if you disagree with my prediction and you think Braga might advance, or Bologna, possibly Porto, remember to leave your predictions in the comments down below. And as always, if you're still not subscribed to the channel, over 90% of people that watch my videos are not subscribed to the channel. What are you doing? Remember to subscribe down below to help me hit 8,000 subscribers, and I would really appreciate it. And as always, if you enjoyed this video, remember to leave a like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, and stay tuned for more videos. Andilo!